Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wayne Searle, and I'll be your presenter today. Thank you for making the time to listen in. This is an important webinar in these, well, we're calling them unprecedented times, aren't we? They are. They're full of great uncertainty and I think concern for all of us. What we want clients and non-clients to know is that we are here for you right throughout it, maybe remotely, but we're here to give you whatever support we can to get you through these really difficult and challenging times. At the SP, our purpose is to use our business and financial skills to make a positive impact on our clients' lives. And I can't think of a time when that has ever been more relevant than now. So with this purpose in mind, we're here to share with you the practical things that you can do to mitigate the impact of this pandemic on your business and your family life, and importantly, how you can prepare your business to maximize the opportunities that will certainly present themselves as we emerge from lockdown. Before we kick off fully, I want to give you a thought for the day from this is from JFK. The two Chinese characters that you can see here are Wei and Ji, and they form together the Chinese word for crisis, or JFK said they did. He actually wasn't technically correct about that, but that became such a sort of widespread mistranslation. It's sometimes even used by native Chinese speakers now. But what those two characters mean are a time of danger and a time of opportunity. So, you know, certainly, you know, whether JFK was correct in his translation or not, we're faced with a crisis now, and at the same time, it is a real time of danger, yes, but a real time of opportunity. That's an opportunity for you to take a leadership role, helping your team when they are in real need. To be really proactive in communicating with your clients, who will be as worried about this as anybody, and to make a plan now for a more sustainable, more resilient business, or maybe in the worst case, a plan to exit your business with the minimum negative impact on you and your team. So what we're going to go through today is we're going to look at a couple of mindsets for dealing with these difficult times. We're going to look at how to build a plan for yourself, your team, your business. We're going to look at the support that's available and then your next steps. And then we'll deal with any questions later. So firstly, this is a mindset, possibly the most powerful business model I've ever seen. It goes by the name of Orbed. In times of crisis, in times of difficulty, we have two choices about how we respond. We can either act above this line or we can act below it. If we act below the line, the actions would go something like this. Maybe we blame someone else for bringing a virus into our country. We make excuses why there's absolutely nothing we can do about it and the impact it has on our business, or we can go into some sort of denial that there's no issue at all. And in doing that, we put ourselves, our team, our business, and probably others in society in general at great risk. That's a kind of childlike behaviour, but actually at times of difficulty, it's natural to first go below that line and sort of exhibit those behaviours. But what's important is that ultimately, as quickly as we possibly can, we bounce from below the line to above the line. And what we do there is we take ownership. We do something to protect ourselves and our business, even if that might mean closing it. We recognise that we are accountable. We recognise that we have accountability to our teams, our clients, and we recognise that we are responsible. We take responsibility for protecting ourselves, our team, our customers, our business, our families from these difficult times. So, you know, below the line, it's speaking from the you, being childlike, feeling out of control, burying your head in the sand, taking no initiative. Above the line, taking the I, be it taking the responsibility, being grown up about it, taking ownership, not being the victim, but being the victor, recognizing you have a choice as to how you act in these situations. The second mindset that I want to share with you is actually from Sir Richard Branson. And it's a great reminder as to where we as the business owners need to place ourselves and our energy at a time like this. So, as owner of the business, first and foremost, this is about situation about you. But you need to think about your team. We need to look after our customers, and we need to look after our business. What we often find as owners of a business is we do this. We think we're superhuman and we try to divide our efforts between everybody. We think we can do it all. So, you know, we try to look after our team. We try to look after the customers. We try to take care of the business. What Richard Branson says is it's not the clients that come first. It's the employees that come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of your clients. So we take care of our team. They take care of the customers. The customers take care of the business, and the business takes care of us. So I appreciate this might be a little bit oversimplified. Some of you are listening to this maybe won't have a team. The point here is it all starts with you as the owner. If you act above that line that we just saw, you remember who you need to be, you make a new plan now, you know, it then starts with your team, or you start with your customers if you don't have a team. But you take that responsibility, you take that ownership, and you don't try to divide your time amongst too many different areas. So as we want to help you as the business owner, we want to help you to build your plan to deal with this situation. So if the Richard Branson model starts with you as a business owner, let's talk about what we can do to improve your resilience right now. You know, your well-being is critical. Remember, like, you know, like that safety briefing when you're in an aeroplane, put the oxygen mask on yourself first before you help anybody else. So make sure you stay healthy, get as much sleep as you can, keep your exercise going, get support if you need it. Don't drink too much. Select your information sources carefully and try to minimize the time spent on social media. There's lots of bad news around you. You can drive yourself insane listening to the news. Stay calm at all times, stay connected with friends and family, stay positive. We can come through this and we will come through it. Other things you think about your personal finances. First and foremost, get your budget straight, know how much you need to survive through this, and work out where that money is going to come from. Can you get it from your business? Do you need to look at the sources of government support that are available? Do you need to be looking at finance in some way? We'll talk about that in more detail later on. But also think about your sort of personal asset planning. If you should become seriously ill, and this is relevant now, but it's relevant at any time really. You know, if you should become seriously ill, who's in place to make decisions for you and your business? For someone, if you were, for example, if you were incapacitated, is there someone who can access the business bank account and keep that running if you can't? Have you made a will? Have you thought about things like lasting power of attorney? So, you know, that's where if you're unable to make decisions for yourself, you can either have you can have a type of legal lasting power of attorney that enables somebody to make decisions about your property and your finances, and also there's another one where they can make decisions about your daily routine, like washing, dressing, eating, medical care, etc. So well worth thinking about putting those things in place at any time. Now is as good as any, and maybe it must focus on those sort of things, even more than usual. If you need help with drawing up a will or making a lasting power of attorney, then we can recommend a very good solicitor to help you with that. So over the next few slides, I'm going to cover what you should be thinking of in terms of managing your team, your customers, your suppliers, and your cash flow. I suppose at this stage, there's a lot of businesses that have now temporarily ceased to operate. But these restrictions, this sort of lockdown will end, and we will open up again. When we do, the way we need to operate may be very different to the way we operated before. And as well as dealing with this sort of here and now of the crisis, we need to think about what our businesses will look like in the future. We don't know when the restrictions will end, but they will end. And when they do, ask yourself, how ready will I be to get up and running again? Thinking about your team members, they're going to be worried about their job security. Despite all the government support that's around, there will be job losses. Be open with your team, share relevant parts of your plan with them, be honest about the potential impact that the pandemic will have on your business. If there are job losses or you temporarily lay off employees, you furlough them, then ensure that you get good legal and HR advice on the best way to handle the restructuring and the redundancy process. Do not take chances on that side of things. We now know that we're going to remain in some form of lockdown for weeks, possibly months. What extra resources might your team need during this time? They're probably, already furloughed or working from home if they're still working. What do they need to do their job more effectively? Have they got the right, the right sort of desk, chair? Do they need a printer, for example? Have they got the right sort of equipment? Consider how you best use the technology to maintain team communication and keep them updated on a regular basis. Remember this, this is a very, very uncertain time for them as well. And then make sure you have a COVID-19 policy in place to keep your team safe. If they're still working, and there are businesses out there that are still working because they're in a key sector, make sure that they are working in a safe way. And when we come back and we start working again, I'm pretty sure it's we can say that it will still be under some form of restriction, and we'll need to think about safety at that point too. And your clients, the support you offer your customers and your clients now will really impact the support that they give you in the future. If you are still operating, those customers want to be reassured that you're taking specific measures to mitigate their exposure to the virus and your teams. And if they or you have had to stop operating, well, they need to know that you will be there for them when the restrictions ease. For any business now, we're asking ourselves what life will be like when we come out of the other side of this. Not only will we be able to continue in business, but if we're there, how many of our customers will be there? How many of our suppliers will still be there? So, good communication now with customers and suppliers is really important. Think about things like your terms of trade with your customers. Think about how you draw up your contracts with them, and really think about your cash flow management. It's essential that you make sure you've got enough cash coming into your business from your customers at this time. It's the oxygen your business needs to survive. We'll be talking a little bit more about cash flow management shortly, and over the next few days we are going to record a webinar on getting paid, so look out for that. Likewise, suppliers, you can improve your cash flow significantly by talking to your suppliers and negotiating with them. Think about the payment arrangements you have with them. Think about your purchasing policies. And this goes for as much for now as when we return to something like normality. if you've still got some stock, maybe you can return it to them. Again, review your contracts with the suppliers. Think very, very carefully about how you're going to pay your suppliers at this time. If you have done a cash flow forecast, which every business should have done, to guide them through this time, if you've done that cash flow forecast, you'll be able to see when you're going to run out of cash, or if you're going to run out of cash. What assumptions have you made about when you pay your suppliers? What assumptions have you made about when your customers pay you? If you change those assumptions, if your customers don't pay you, what does that say? If you don't pay your suppliers, or you pay them less, what happens to the cash flow forecast? You really need to be thinking very carefully about both the risks of not getting paid, but also how you should be really thinking very carefully about how much you pay your suppliers now, and keeping hold of money if that keeps you going through this situation. So one of the most important ways to improve your business is to shorten the cash conversion cycle. And this is a sort of illustration of how that works. It's based on a wholesale business, but it could be adapted to any business. A business that doesn't necessarily hold much stock, but pays its people. And the key points here are that this business, it buys stock from its supplier, and we say that's day zero. Now, it then sells that stock to a customer on day 60. So on day 60, the stock is dispatched to the customer, and it's invoiced at day 60. Now, those customers are on 30 days payment terms, but some of them take quite a bit longer than that. And actually, the average time to get paid from when the stock is dispatched to the customer is 60 days. So there's actually 60 days to invoice, plus another 60 days to get paid. From the point that you or this wholesaler receives the stock, there's 120 days before cash comes into the business. Fortunately, you don't have to pay the supplier for 45 days from receiving the stock. So the cash goes out after 45 days, but we have to wait until day 120 till the cash comes in. So what we talk about this cash gap here. The cash gap is the number of days between cash going out and the related cash coming into the business. In this case, the cash gap is 75 days. So it's the 60 days from day 0 to actually receiving cash in, minus the 45 days that we get till we have to pay the cash out. So 75 days to turn that cash out there into cash in. So by reducing that 75 days, we can significantly improve the cash flow in our business. Another area that you can focus on is what we call the business 101 cycle. And there's a massive difference between profit and cash in a business. Profit is what you pay tax on. It's what your accounts say you've made. But cash is the oxygen your business needs to survive. So what's important here is that as well as improving your cash conversion cycle, you make plans to maximize your profit, and at the same time to get that profit flowing, changing into cash more quickly. So if we walk through this, the top here is the owner. You introduce funds into the business, and the business uses those funds to buy assets. And using those assets, you can generate a profit. You might also borrow external monies from a bank, for example, or a leasing company to purchase assets. But you essentially use those assets to generate a profit in your business. Now there are various ways of increasing your profits in the business. You could grow your sales. You could improve your profit margins. You could be looking at new customers, new products, a different sales strategy to do that. You could be looking at doing things more efficiently, purchasing better. reducing waste and errors, or ditching products that have poor margins. So a number of ways to improve profit in a business. Once you've derived your profit, once you've achieved a profit, it doesn't automatically necessarily result in more cash in the business. Profitable businesses can, and they do, go broke at times like these, and importantly, when we start to come out of these types of downturn or breaks in activity, and the sales start growing again, what's going to be really important when we start our activity again is that we have enough cash to sustain us through the early days when the government support has gone, and we've made the furlough grant claims, and we've had the government-backed financing. We need to have enough cash to be able to run the business, and to finance the business through those times. So you need to be looking at how you maximize your cash flows using strategies like getting paid quicker, reducing stock or work in progress, negotiating better terms with your suppliers, for example. Now in particular is not the time to be slow or lenient on collecting money from your customers. We need to keep this cash spinning as fast as we can around this cycle. The faster you can get cash spinning around, the more you can do in your business, the more profit you can make. And that's the idea, is to get this cash circulating harder and harder and harder to make more money for you. So, other areas that can help you improve cash flow are looking at your sources of finance. Can you go on to interest only, for example, at the moment, or can you get lower interest finance at the moment? And we know there are many sort of government support measures around too, which we're going to be looking at on a subsequent slide. So, I've talked about the cash conversion cycle and that business 101 model. Let's look at 7 ways to grow your business. Now then, this is a webinar or indeed a seminar workshop in itself. I could talk for a couple of hours just on these points. I'll cover them quite quickly here, but there's some real points of value. Firstly, client retention. To delight your clients right now. They will be struggling, as I've said. So stay in contact. See how you can hold on to their business. Just keep in touch. Just a phone call to check in with them is what I found is massively appreciated at the moment. Look at where your leads are generated. How can you increase the number of leads that you get? Are there new avenues to attract potential new customers? Can you increase your marketing using cost-effective methods? Social media, for example, is something we're making much more use of now. And then when you get those leads, how can you convert more of them? Make sure it's easy to buy from you, as easy as possible to buy from you. Don't give away your value, don't give it away, but how can you make it much easier to buy from you? Can you offer a delivery service? We've got clients who are in retail or in pubs, hospitality, who are looking at delivery services or takeaway, and they've been able to keep going and keep the cash flow coming into their business during this time without having to shut down completely. Then fourthly, look at how much your customers spend when they buy from you. This is the classic McDonald's, would you like fries with that? So what other supporting products or services could they take from you when they're buying? Number 5, how often do they buy from you? What can you do to make them come back more? Can you lock in their next purchase at the point that they're ordering from you this time? Or maybe ask for a referral from them when they're buying from you. Delighted customer is a great time to. When you reduced your costs, your cost of sales, improve your margins. Can you reduce errors or rework? Get a better price from your suppliers, or focus on the products or services that give you the greatest margins? Is now the time to ditch some of those products that you've been meaning to get rid of previously, but never got around to doing. And finally, look at all your overhead costs. What can you remove from the business altogether right now, or at worst, suspend? In these times, I guess things like travel, entertainment, vehicle costs will be an immediate place where you can start, and you can make costs when perhaps you're working from home and not able to travel around. And then if we think about what business, what bank assistance we can look at the moment. Some businesses, the interest costs can be very high, and the outflow from repaying loans, etc., is significant. So we've got to think about ways that we can do that. We've had clients who have been able to increase their overdraft facilities at the moment. They've certainly been able to look at getting extended trade credit and extended terms with their suppliers, renegotiating payments of their supplier balances. That we've got clients who've been able to negotiate with hire purchase and leasing companies and agree repayment holidays. Again, that keeps vital cash in a business. Or talk to their bank where they've got bank loans and agree repayment holidays, or go on to interest-only terms. So there's lots of options there that banks, finance companies are agreeing to, and it's important that you explore those as far as you can. From a personal point of view, there may be you should be able to get a mortgage holiday from your mortgage lender. And other ways, there's have you got a business credit card? What options have you got around that? And I'll come on to talk about the coronavirus business interruption loan scheme in a moment. But really think about your finances at the moment and how the business is financed, and talk to your lenders and see what can be done about reducing the outflow for the short term. Think about your insurances. Can cover a wide range of matters. They can cover HR. What's your position with your employees if they're working from home? Is that covered adequately? What about theft or loss of property if you're not at your premises? Have you got ultimate security around that? Have you got adequate cover in your insurance if anything should happen? Think about your professional indemnity and work in these times, and also think about the key people in your business and what if anything should happen to them and you lose them. Permanently. How will the business come back from that? Is there an insurance cover that you can get for those key people that would actually keep the business going if anything happened to them? It's most business insurance policies probably will exclude COVID-19 type pandemics, but certainly don't assume that they do. And review your policies. Just check whether there is any cover in your insurance policies for that. So let's turn to thinking about the government support that's around now. So I guess these things are probably becoming quite familiar now, but still important to be aware that they are very much around and know how to take advantage of them and not miss out. So the first one, the coronavirus job retention scheme, got a more detailed slide on that coming up. Second point, now paying your taxes. You can now defer any VAT due from up to the 30th of June. Any VAT due during that time is now payable 31st of March next year, so certainly should be taken advantage of that. If you're a self-assessment taxpayer, your next payment on account that was due 31st July can now be deferred until 31st of January next year. And do really think tight about the other taxes that you've got becoming due and taking advantage of the time to pay service. I think really important now, whether that's PAYE, corporation tax, income tax, think about keeping cash in your business at this really important time. We don't know how long this will last, so keep hold of the cash would be my advice. Then for the self-employed, there's the income support scheme. Again, I've got a more detailed slide coming up on that. Other things, there's also changes to statutory sick pay for employees that are off with COVID-19. or were self-isolating because of it. Most businesses now should have received, if they're eligible for their grant from the local authority, because in the rate system, the evidence I'm seeing is that the majority of local authorities have now paid out. So if you still haven't had the grant and you think you're eligible for it, then you should contact your local authority as soon as possible. Then there's the Coronavirus Business Interruption Loan Scheme, or CBILS, which now then, that there's been some significant developments on this in the last week or two. Initially, we saw the banks being pretty resistant on it and pushing potential borrowers down the sort of standard commercial lending route. They've been given a bit of a kick up the backside, and we are expecting more loans to be granted in the coming weeks. So whereas initially they were trying to take, banks were trying to take personal guarantees, now any loan under £250,000, there will be no personal guarantee taken on that. There will be personal guarantees on loans over that amount, but only for 20% of the amount over £250,000. To be eligible for a loan, you'll need to think about things like you should have been trading for at least 12 months. You should be profitable or cash flow positive up to at least the 31st of December last year. You'll need a 12-month cash flow forecast. You'll need 2 years of accounts and possibly recent management accounts if your most recent year-end accounts are quite old, and you'll need 6 months worth of bank statements. Now, if you want to apply for a coronavirus business interruption loan, you can do that through your bank, although my experience is that banks are snowed under at the moment. So if you'd like to talk to us, we can help you through a funding platform that we have access to, and using, particularly if you're on something like Xero or some cloud software, we can help you easily, fairly quickly and easily put together a 12-month cash flow forecast and to do an application through that funding platform. And actually do a bit of a sweep of the lenders who are accredited under the loan scheme. So please get in touch if you if that's of interest to you. The other important point about the interruption loan scheme is it's interest free for 12 months. And the interest rates are now much more realistic than they were initially when this was first offered. Other measures that you will want to be looking at possibly to take advantage of, you've got protection from eviction whether you're a commercial or residential tenant. That's for 3 months. And also there are improvements in universal credit and working tax credits. And that may be something that if you are facing particular hardship at the moment, income-wise, you should get in touch with HMRC. Just go onto the website www.gov.uk/universal-credit and check out the universal credits there. Get yourself in contact with HMRC and look at what might be available to you. Okay, so moving on to the coronavirus job retention scheme. So this started from the 1st of March. It was initially for workers who were on the payroll at the 28th of February. I've just literally heard in the last half an hour, I think, that that has been extended now to workers who were on the payroll from I believe it's the 19th of March. So there's some good news there. You as the employer, you can claim 80% of the furloughed employees' wages up to £2,500 a month. You can choose whether you pay them in full or you agree with the employee. You must do it in agreement with the employee, but you may be able to pay them 80%. You should, good HR practice must never be ignored here. Discuss and agree changes with your employees, confirm in writing, and please do take legal advice. Do not ignore the employment law aspect aspects of this. I recorded an interview with Sarah Bunker, who is a fantastic employment law solicitor. I recorded that last week, and we put it out at the end of last week. That's available to anybody who's listening to this if you get in touch. And that answered all the key questions that our clients had raised on how the furlough works and some of the intricacies of how it works. Don't forget the cash flow aspects of this, in that you have to pay your team first and then make the claim. And the claim may come through after you've paid them. So make sure you've got enough cash if you're not able to get your hands on the grant before you pay your employees. Or there will be some ways in the coming weeks, I think, to possibly get the grant and align it with payment dates to employees. And importantly, you must be registered for PAYE online services. That's really important. You won't be able to make a claim if you're not registered for those online services. Now, while on furlough, employees must not undertake any work for the business. Directors can be furloughed, and that includes single directors in one-person businesses, but you cannot provide services or do any revenue-generating work while you're on furlough. You can fulfil your statutory duties, like do the accounts and VAT return, that sort of thing, but you mustn't do anything that's revenue-generating or providing other services to clients. The other key points on furlough, the portal for making claims should be available on Monday next week, and that's the 20th of April. The minimum furlough period is 3 weeks. So you cannot furlough anybody for less than 3 weeks. They could do 3 weeks, they could come back and work for a short period of time and then be furloughed again, but then that furlough clock starts ticking again and they've got to be furloughed for another 3 weeks. So that's the job retention scheme. The self-employed income support scheme. So this is available self-employed people, including partners in partnerships, and they must have their trading profit must have been adversely affected by COVID-19. Must have been trading in the tax year 2019-20 and continue trading in 2021, the virus notwithstanding. You must have submitted a 2018-19 self-assessment tax return by the 23rd of April. That would be late because that was due by the 31st of January, but you must have submitted it at the latest by the 23rd of April to be eligible for this scheme. Your trading profit must be no more than £50,000, and if you have other sources of income, your trading profit must be more than half of your total income. You can claim 80% of your trading profits up to £2,500 a month, and that's available for 3 months. There are some calculations in terms of what years you take and what figure you take for your trading profits. I'm not going to go into that here. HMRC are saying they will contact anybody who's eligible by mid-May, and they expect to make payments in early June. For our clients who are self-employed, we will be monitoring this, and we make sure that anybody who's eligible or who we think is eligible, if you're not contacted by HMRC, we will help you with that, and we will look at why they've not contacted you and look at if anything can be done to get around that. Importantly, with any of these grants, whether that's the self-employed income support scheme, whether that's the furlough in job retention grant, whether it's the local authority grants, they will all be taxable. They will all be taxable, and in the case of self-employed individuals, subject to NI as well. If you are self-employed and you have a job as well, then you can be furloughed from that job. You potentially, if you are self-employed, you can continue to work in your self-employed capacity and receive the grant if all of the criteria, all of the other criteria are satisfied. So So that's worth thinking about. Or if you, for example, decided to diversify from your normal self-employed activity, then you may still be able to access this income support scheme, although you may need to register a separate trade with HMRC. So again, talk to us if you're thinking about that, or if you're in that situation. Okay, so we've been through the mindsets that you need to have in these difficult times. We've looked at what you need to do to look after yourself, your team, your customers. We've shared some ideas about how you can improve your sales, your margins, your profit, your cash flow. And we've shared, in general terms, what's available in terms of support from the government and other sources. So, what are you going to do now? Doing nothing's not an option. Now is the time to put that oxygen mask on yourself and make a plan to get through. Even if that might involve closing your business, you're better off to make that decision sooner rather than later. And not just make a plan to get through this, but be thinking now about how you're going to maximize the opportunities that will be available to you when we start to return to some form of activity again. Part of that planning is to please surround yourself with experts. That includes us, but includes your bank, your legal advisors, your HR advisors. Take advice from the people around you. Remember that line, the orbit line, stay above the line. Have a mindset that says, I be, do, have. What you decide to be now dictates what you do, and therefore what you have. Focus on what you can do at this time. So with this in mind, we've developed a business continuity plan, and I want to share that with you now. So this covers all of the areas that we've talked about during this presentation. So firstly, your resilience, your well-being, your family, your personal budget, your personal assets. It covers your team, and how you manage them, how you protect them, how you manage them, how you keep them going through this time. Includes their roles, how their roles may need to change, how their goals and how the measures that you manage them by, how they might need to change. It covers working from home, flexibility of hours, the financial support that might be available to your employees as well. It covers the aspects of your customers, how you manage them, how you might adapt your services, how you might adapt your terms of trade, how you might retain those customers, how you might communicate with them, and likewise with suppliers, your payment arrangements, your purchasing policies, your stock control, your contracts. It covers your cash flow forecasting, your cash management, your process for collecting money from customers, your processes for paying suppliers, your processes and your structure for financing your business. It covers all of those things. It looks at your profitability, your costs, how you can improve that, how you can use those 7 drivers of business growth to improve your business performance. Remember, this isn't just about now, this is about also when you return to business. It looks at your insurances, tax support that's available, government support packages that's available. So it's a really comprehensive template, and it comes with a guide for developing the plan. So this is a comprehensive guide that enables you to take the guide and to put the plan together yourself. And this is available to anybody who's a client or not a client who's listening to attending this webinar or listening to the recording. And you can get this by just contact us if you want it, and we'll send it to you. So I really, you can see how detailed this guide is. I'm going to go through it very quickly, but it goes to several pages. So this is really detailed stuff to enable you to put together your own plan. So we wanted to share that. We wanted to be able to give something to businesses that they can do to start planning and making their way through this whole very difficult situation. So you have some options there. You know, you can either take that plan and you can do it yourself, or you can do it with our help. Now, we'll either do a planning session with you that is sort of half a day. We'll do it obviously not face to face at the moment. We'll do it online using Zoom, where we help you to build the plan, and that would be a cost of £400 plus that, which is heavily discounted from our standard rates. Or you could put together your plan and we will review it with you again online, about an hour and a half, where we go through it and we challenge you on it and make sure that it's robust. Or completely free, you can complete it yourself. For any non-clients, we'll offer a complimentary online meeting to review your business and the support that's available to you. And subject to having enough sort of interest, we'll be looking at getting together an online support group that would meet on a regular basis to share ideas, share problems, and generally support each other. You know, it's the sort of thing that I do with a group of accountants that I've been linked to for several years, and it's invaluable to all of us to actually just be able to share ideas and to share problems as well, problems, challenges. So that's how we can help you and how we'd like to help you. You know, if you'd like to go for one of those paid options, but the costs are a problem for you, just talk to me. I don't want to see anybody struggle through this and not have help. So please just talk to me. My contact details are earlier on in this recording. So I'm going to skip over the questions part, and I'm going to leave you with a parting thought. Anyone can lead when the plan is working. The best lead when the plan falls apart. I'm guessing pretty much anybody listening to this, if you're like me, your plan for this year would have completely fallen apart. Now's the time to pick up the pieces, put the plan together again, and to move on. So finally, I want to say thank you for joining us today, and please get in touch if you need any help and support at all with this. Thank you very much.